All right, I'm here at ACT Expo with Brad Beauchamp, EV segment leader for Bluebird bus. Brad, thanks for joining.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's start by this. What are we standing in front of here?
So this is what's considered a Type C school bus, which is the actual, I'll call it technical term for it, but we call it the Bluebird Vision. And we have this out there in electric form. To date, we've got more than 3,500 EV school buses out there in Type A, which is away from us here, this Type C, and as well as the Type D transit style school bus. So a lot of EVs out there in 41 states and 4 Canadian provinces.
All right, so most people know Bluebird, synonymous with the big yellow bus, bring our kids to and from school on field trips. But what's something that maybe people don't know about Bluebird bus?
So they do know, like you just mentioned, your children's safety is our business, right? That's our motto. We'll be 100 years old next year.
Wow.
What they don't realize is, one, we're the only American-owned school bus company left, right? We're American decisions made by America, American-made product in Georgia. We just acquired Microbird, so there's a whole flavor to New York and Quebec with that, and Canada as well. But they don't realize is that we're multi-fuel, right? And we have been for the large part of the last 30 plus years, where we can offer you gasoline, we can offer you propane. We did for 1991 to 2024 offer you compressed natural gas, CNG. And then we moved into the electric platform, and yes, we still offer diesel. But what they don't know about Bluebird is over the course of the last, especially 20 years, right, we've continually had those other fuels, including electric, replace the diesel buses that are out there today. 25 million students get transported in the U.S. every day on a school bus. It's the safest on-road transportation. We added seatbelts as standard back in 2024, the first ones to ever offer them as standard. Yet most school buses that are out there, most of them do not have seatbelts in them today, yet they're still the safest. We have a driver's side airbag now for the Vision product that you have here. It's the first ever in a school bus. So we've got a lot of things that, whether it's fuels or safety and or the technology that surrounds around it, like we're going to talk about here with telematics, things that are just different that set us apart from the other school bus manufacturers.
Very cool. And before we get into telematics, that was actually going to be my other question was the multi-fuel, multi-propulsion model, diesel, electric, propane and such. I mean, is there a right call for school transportation, or what is the industry? Obviously, you're over EV and battery electric.
I'm over EV, but as my counterparts that work on this as well will tell you, we primarily talk about everything that's not diesel, because diesel's familiar, it takes care of itself, right? So everybody knows what it is. For the last almost 40 years, diesel's been the primary propulsion source for this school bus. So when we get into that question, what fuel's right for me, or what technologies are right for me, work directly with our dealers and our actual end users, our actual customers, whether it's a school district or a contractor, and help them look at their area, look at the types of driving they do, the types of routes they cover, what their longest distance is for trip type activities, and we can help them then guide to a fuel that not only makes sense for them, but will also be potentially safer, cleaner, and even save them money. How can you do all that in one with just fuels, right?
Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense to offer all those different fuel options. Moving kind of closer towards telematics. So uptime obviously is everything. A bus that doesn't run means our kids don't get to school. I was thinking about reliability as some of these vehicles get more complex with regards to electrification and some of the software that we'll talk about in a second.
So in every case of the fuel type you have the actual infrastructure, how you're going to replenish the fuel in that vehicle. And EVs are no different. It's just, in today's terms, the tank is smaller and it takes longer to fill. So you have to have a charging station to do that work. Because the tank is smaller and the range is smaller, there's a lot of things on the vehicle side, whether it's just simple maintenance or whether it's the route you're planning, you have to think about it a little bit differently. So when we launched or thought about getting into this telematics side, natural launch point was the EV bus, because it has the most things that you're working around to keep that bus and integrate that bus into the system. And oh, by the way, most people that took them on had never had an EV bus before, right?
Yeah.
So now I've got a new technology. Again, it's a smaller tank, so it doesn't go as far, and it takes a lot longer to fill. There's things that telematics and the data side on a snapshot can provide. How much range do I have? Is my vehicle on the maintenance side, when we talk about being a little different for maintenance, is the vehicle up and running, or does it have some fault codes that either I'm going to have to attend to when I get back from the route, or maybe at the end of the week, or is it good to go, right? So it was the natural launching point when you're putting a new technology, a new propulsion or fuel type, electricity into the marketplace, where it gives you the benefit of being able to integrate that without having to be guessing at what you're doing each day.
Excellent. So let's talk about dealers. They're obviously very central to the business. And we'll talk about the connectivity in a second, but how does the connected offering and solution, how does that work with the dealers? Where are we at? Is this something they've already embraced or are expecting? What can you tell us about what it's going to do for the dealers?
Yeah, so obviously it's standard on our EV product as we started rolling into the telematics launch. And then if you have a different fuel type, it's going to be optional for those other fuel types. There'll be some that want to be able to adapt to it to be able to run their fleet, even if it's a diesel fleet, right? And understand, although diesel's low on our list, dealers were enthusiastic about having the ability to see the vehicles on their end as well, because it helps them with selling parts and services to their customers, which again are the school districts and or the contractors. So it gives them, with their visibility, a layer that they didn't have before. They now can see buses that have fault codes and may need some attention. They can sometimes reach out to that end user. Eventually in the map is obviously getting to where that end user can see the actual fleet on their own, right? That's one of the goals that we're aiming toward. But the dealers were super excited that we have that visibility, they have that visibility. They're able to, as the things we just discussed, know what range is on the EV, understand if there's any critical fault codes. In some cases, maybe even be able to get a mobile technician out to the site to be able to preemptively solve a problem so that that bus doesn't have to be down or isn't down as long, right? So dealers are really excited about having the capabilities of the telematics at their screen capability and be able to
complete sense.
Be able to fumble through that, right? Yeah.
The partnered with Cibros to deploy a software stack that is managing this connectivity, logging, getting data off of the fleet, software updates, diagnostic commands, as you mentioned, the ability to deploy a remote technician out, or sometimes skip the service bay entirely depending on the situation.
Right.
A little bit about that. I think you already outlined a lot of the problems or opportunities that you're trying to tackle with respect to connectivity. It's more about that. Why did you choose Cibros and connectivity in general?
Yeah, Cibros had that OEM, right? We're the OEM of this vehicle. We build the chassis, we put the powertrain in, we put the body on it. Goes through our dealer network, and then our dealers then get it out to the contractors and the districts. Important for us to have somebody that had that OEM experience and understood the uniqueness of this vocational market, and that's what Cibros brought to the table. They're dealing with other vocational manufacturers where something is a use-specific type vehicle, and school bus is definitely that way. You find them suburban, urban, and rural, right? You find them just about a little bit of everywhere. And Cibros was able to provide us the platforms to be able to make sure that that bus, no matter what environment you were in, would have some data that would be valuable. From the district side, as you get into EVs, think about those EVs are also running suburban, urban, and rural. And when you get into some of the areas of the country, the closest EV tech, whether a mobile tech or at the dealership or at the facility that does the powertrain, like in our case, we got Cummins, which has the Accelera PowerDrive 7000 system in there. You want to be sure that you can maybe pre-diagnose through the telematics to triage that vehicle and say, yeah, we don't need to take it all the way into a service center. We just need a laptop with a technician coming out to do some updates to some modules. Or it is something as simple as a non-EV related that you can see through the telematics to go, it's a headlamp. We just got to replace a headlamp on the vehicle. Cibros allowed us that flexibility not only to manage through that, and our dealers to manage through it, but also for us to have the flexibility on a multiplex vehicle like you have here to be able to add additional features in there so that as we learn about what customers are really looking for, we can then have that. And over the longer term, hopefully over-the-air updates, and then even artificial intelligence, right? That's a big topic here at this conference, right? Absolutely. So all of this is around, your children's safety is our business, and Cibros being part of that and helping those that are running these fleets and the dealers that are standing behind them make those decisions to be able to keep that bus up and running safely.
Yeah, that's great. So last question. So Bluebird's been doing this for nearly 100 years.
Nearly 100 years.
A significant part of the transformation to the battery electric and now to the connectivity. You mentioned AI. What does this world look like in 50 years? I mean, are you still going to be doing this, or
We are planning for the next 50.
Yeah.
And as you've seen the transformation in transportation, including this electrification wave here, that's really been the last 7, 8, 10 years, and the telemetry that you can now leave, and AI come into the picture. We're planning for that future for the next 100 years, right? Not just 50, but the next 100 years. There's all kinds of things that we have to consider, but one thing for sure is, there's still going to be needs for students to be transported to, even if it's not a traditional school like you see, right? You're going to be transported to be able to do hands-on work, to be able to do the learning and vocational. Obviously we went through the home learning thing a few years back, which we don't all want to think about, but we did it, right?
And did that impact? When
it absolutely did, and the fact that typically getting on a yellow school bus to go get their education, they were sitting in front of a laptop at home. But what happened with that, and also ties into this, is these vehicles became connectivity for those students. They were often parked to be Wi-Fi hotspots so that students could do their... So when you're talking about the next 50 years, we've learned a lot over the last 100.
Yeah.
And the school bus, including the electric school bus, that's actually, I'll call it exportable energy, or it's like a generator as well. It can export energy out. There's all kinds of things that school bus could end up doing for us over the next 50 and into the next 100 years.
Excellent. Well, Brett,
yeah,
thanks for
thank
joining
you.
us and having a chat.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck at the show.
Yep, have fun at the show.